Consider this your trigger warning. The following program is strictly satire and is not meant to be taken seriously. So don't get all butthurt, you liberal snowflakes, just because we skewer your sacred cows and expose all your lies and hypocrisy. Truth hurts, and so does satire. So grab a drink, pull up a chair, and enjoy the show.
Well, it is Sunday Night Live again. Welcome back, everybody. And it's going to get crazy on this episode of The Zoo. We are on YouTube. We are on X. We are on Facebook. We are on subscribestar.com. And, of course, our flagship website where you can view our premium videos as well as Sunday Night Live, thepreparedmind.club. I really want to thank everyone for showing up. We're going to have people trickling in for the next 2 hours because it's going to be a 2-hour broadcast or more. We're going to find out. I've got me a cup of coffee from cafefe.com. Cafefe.com. They're an unpaid sponsor for the show, but they've supplied me with some goodly amounts of very patriotic coffee. The titles of their coffee make fun of certain political figures that we don't like. Woo! As well as having coffees that are complementary to our political natures. In any event, we've got a great show. So on YouTube, share that internet address. There's a share button down below. On X, get people on X watching. People on Facebook, well, you're already part of the Facebook channel, so you know what's going on there. I tell you what, folks, we have some shit coming. The left, the political left, is continuing to try to get us to fight with one another. Republican against Republican, patriot against patriot, MAGA against MAGA. They want us to fight. Well, the fight is not with you, my friends. And no matter, even if we disagree, and we should disagree on things from time to time, we ought to. We're humans and different. The objective, though, for us is to disagree or not, we have a side we've picked, a side we're fighting on, a side we need to win, and it's the side of liberty and our republic. Now, I thought about this today because the attempt is continuing to be made by high-level psychological operations managers at the CIA and coming out of the Pentagon as well. Understand that's what they do for a living, is try and figure out how to defeat us. And that is by getting us to fight with one another. And I'm not going to let them win. In fact, fuck those guys. The only way they could defeat you and me is by canceling our channels, canceling our memberships, canceling social media. They've all but knocked me off of YouTube. They punished me and you. They blacklisted me and you. They've shadow banned us. They've censored us. They've given us strikes. They've given us timeouts. And now they've removed all funding. So the funding is up to you to keep this channel going, as I've described in the past. And for everyone here who's new, we've got servers, we've got memberships, we've got products we buy in order to keep the show, the lights on, as well as spam and tuna fish, and of course, single malt scotch in the in the larder, if you will. Some people call it a pantry. There you go. Anyways, we got great questions lining up. I am wound up, and all I need is more coffee. Good golly, folks. Good golly. So if you've got something to say, you want to get your questions on board here, on the front, the best thing to do is to use Venmo or CashApp. And the addresses for Venmo and CashApp to get to the Prepared Mind are right there on the screen. Okay? That's how we do it, and we'll get you on the screen and make you famous. I've got a lot going on behind the scenes as well. Ooman is here, Jolene's in the background, and I have at least 4 electronic computer type devices in front of me. Ooman's got at least 6. And we put on a hell of a show, folks. You're going to love this shit. So, I want to start out with this. A $50 super chat donation from D. Darcy T. I almost said her last name and she kicked my ass for that. Anyways, a super chat donation, that is to say any donation that comes through that's $50 or more, buys me a single malt scotch. And so every week, Darcy T starts the show off along with Chin Music doing just that. And so, in line with tradition and great support of the free speech, free rights, Second Amendment, Constitution, United States of America, here we go. Darcy T, thank you. Now, mother's milk, mama. Woo! Okay. Good golly, that'll wake you up in the morning, put some hair on your chest. Okay. A little scotch with a coffee chaser. Now, this is not a show. We're getting a lot of new people on X. Welcome to everybody on X. This is not a show where we go off and talk about pie in the sky BS. We don't blow hard and talk about how we're going to come through and commit all these illegal acts. No, we discuss in a very semi-sober manner what is happening around the world and why you need to be prepared with food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine. Yeah, self-defense is a real thing, especially in my state, the great state of Florida, where you don't just mess with people. We've been advised by our sheriffs here that turn people into Swiss cheese, blow them back out through the hole that they came through into your house, or you just run them down with your car if they're threatening you and trying to block you. God bless Florida. We're already at 300 people live in just the first few minutes. Unlike YouTube, X doesn't get any fair warning, but 6 p.m. every Sunday, unless there's a holiday, every Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we are here, and I send out messages on X and on YouTube and everywhere else to let you know we're going to kick it off. So let's kick this off. We got Darcy T, we got Chin Music lined up, and then Uman himself is going to appear right here and share the screen with me. And we're going to discuss, like I said, in a very sober manner, real life perspectives, opinions, thoughts, and what to do. All I want to do is share information and the questions. You make up your own mind. And that's the really cool part about this is if you do a super chat donation, a CashApp, a Venmo, right? You do that, you get on the screen, you'll be talking. You will be talking to people who are watching the show. And by the time this broadcast is over and we get a couple days down the line, there will have been tens of thousands of people who have watched it either live or recorded, because it also goes out to Rumble and BitChute and other social media. This is a very big network, folks, and it's getting bigger now that we're spreading through the X network, right? We got the rsyndicate.com also. Anyways, here we are. Uman will put that back up on screen from time to time so that people can get the addresses for this. I want to start with Darcy T. Again, $50 super chat donation. This is her question. Here we go. Now that Trump is soon to be back in office, do you really think anything meaningful will be done to free the remaining January 6ers after the inauguration? The answer short is yes. There's a lot more that she stated, so we'll get back to all of this. It seems like Vance is already hem and hawing on some of what he considers violent, right? From the footage that we've had access to, the only violence I saw was from the feds. And that means the Washington, D.C. police as well, folks. They're on federal territory. I wonder what he deems to be violent behavior and just how many will remain in prison. Now, here's where this gets fun. I do not think J.D. Vance is hemming and hawing. I think he is covering his bases. Number one, J.D. Vance will be pardoning nobody. That's not his job. That's Trump's job. That's Trump's job. Now, of course, J.D. Vance is carrying people's water, right? He's carrying Trump's water, what he wants to talk about. But when it comes to who is he going to let out, right? Well, the caveat, the exception to this would be, well, except for those who were violent, right? The only violence I saw was the Washington, D.C. police and people like Ray Epps. There was also the Jonathan fellow, the Antifa member who was out there filming. He got into Congress, ran around. I believe he filmed Ashley Babbitt being shot in the throat, which made me very suspicious if that was a false flag lie at the time. But there were other protesters there dressed in all black. They were Antifa BLM types who infiltrated the crowd. January 6th, patriotic Americans were saying, that's Antifa. Don't follow them. Stop them. They're bad. That's Antifa, right? They're pointing them out. And those were the people who were violent. Those were the people who broke windows. Those were the people who flashed badges, or shall I say, identification to police so that they could pass, so that they would be released, so that they wouldn't be treated to a beatdown with a nightstick. So what I'm saying here is it looks like the only people getting pardoned are patriots. He's not going to blanket pardon everybody who was there, because if the Trump administration, through the Attorney General's office, wants to prosecute Ray Epps, you don't get a pardon. He was acting violent. He can go be arrested and drugged back in. Same with every single one of these left-wing government PSYOP agents, whether they're Antifa or FBI, possibly a couple of CIA, private contractors. If they are known and discovered, and boy, I tell you what, if Kash Patel is FBI director, guess who is going to identify who? Unless the FBI right now is busy in the back room with a paper shredder, and it's very possible they could be in the back room shredding documents to hide things, to hide names, events, plans. Right? Does someone like Nancy Pelosi deserve to be pardoned? I don't think so. I do not think so. Right? Was she violent? Well, here's where we have a little fun with that. If she was not participating in the violence, but rather encouraging it, causing it to happen, I think she should share responsibility. I do. I think she should. So there's a lot of concern. Again, this attack on J.D. Vance is coming from people who are short-sighted, can only see one move ahead. You've got to see the next move and the move after and the move after. It's, I'm not trying to say you've got to be a brainiac or have a 500 IQ to figure this shit out. You just have to have watched it enough, and you and I have. We've watched an awful lot of stuff together to see what this is. These are word games being played. Yeah, we're not going to let any violent January 6th protesters out. Okay, well, who are the violent ones? Ray Epps, ATF, FBI, CIA, contractors, Antifa. Those were the violent players, characters, actors, protesters. And they need to stay arrested if they've been arrested, or they need to be arrested and not have the ability to pardon themselves, or rather say they've been pardoned. That's what I think J.D. Vance was kind of saying, right? We're going to find out, folks. All we can do is sit back and listen. When I was a sports fanatic, when I watched a lot of sports, I would get pissed off at my team, the coach, the quarterback, the fucking players, because they made a mistake, because they didn't do it right. But I didn't quit liking the Oakland Raiders. I didn't quit liking the Los Angeles Dodgers. Of course, these are the 80s Raiders and the 80s Dodgers, right? I didn't quit. I just get pissed off at them. And I'd yell and throw things at the TV, but I never stopped supporting them. How much more important is our nation, our country, our lives, our fortunes, our families, compared to a stupid sports team? Yet people don't just get rid of their sports team. So why should we get rid of something that is so important? Because the leadership or the players aren't as smart as us when it comes to this shit. Are they doing it on purpose, or are they just fucking idiots? I'm talking about politicians, lawyers, bureaucrats, etc. I think they're fucking idiots. Right? When I was a kid, I looked up to my teachers, both, well, for real, right? Because they were taller than me, but because I respected them. I thought they were smart, brilliant. Older I got into high school, I'm like, these fucking teachers are not that bright. I know more than them, and I'm just a high school kid. Who the fuck are these? By the time I got to the end of high school, zero respect, with the very exception of just a very few. I'm like, okay, I get it. Not everyone is always going to seem to me to be hyper intelligent. Same with these fucking politicians. Same with these bureaucrats. Same with these lawyers. Same with these doctors. Doctors. Oh, for God's sake, there's another topic I can't really touch. Talk about your third rail in the world of social media. Don't, be careful with the doctors. We don't, well, no, wait. Real doctors we can bitch slap down. Psh, psh, psh. It's the bureaucratic doctors like Dr. Fauci or Dr. Tedros or the CDC as a group. You can't make fun of them. Oh, no, they're godlike. They're godlike. Woo! Folks, we're almost up to 500 people already. This is the biggest blast off we've had on a Sunday Night Live since I went to the RMZ without telling anybody and just started live broadcasting from the fucking jungle under an umbrella. Okay, so once again, share the internet address. Thank you, Darcy T, for the $50 donation. And then we're going to move on to Chin Music. And Chin Music is a very passionate, intelligent, patriotic, hard charger, and I'm sure just like many of you. He has done a $53.06 Venmo Super Chat. Now, that's $50. That buys me a scotch and a 306, basically a 30-6 right there. And he likes to play those kind of numbers games. Anyways, Chin is busy at the moment certifying his students and getting them their belts, as in martial arts belts. But he'll be here in a bit. This one's from Chin and another single malt Glenlivet Scotch as we start the show. All right, let me double check. Mr. Uman shot me a message. No. Okay, we're good. And I know for a fact a lot of new people are coming here. So Venmo, Cash App, here we go. You guys want to talk? It's your show. I'm not the only one who talks. It's your questions we talk about. Anyways, first, Chin Music. Semper Fi, brother. Always faithful is what that means. It's the Marine Corps motto, and I just happen to be one of those guys. And there's lots of us out here, lots of soldiers, Marines, sailors, and airmen. Oh, bam. Now, this is Chin Music, and he says he's got a rant. And he says, don't you hate it when climate change hires leaders based on pronouns and who they share their lady parts with, tears down dams, mismanages forests, leaves reservoirs empty, gives fire equipment to Ukraine, stops trucks sent to help for emission testing in Sacramento, slashes the fire budget, says it's never enough women when hiring firefighters, and chases the good ones out for refusing an experimental jab. The voters had a chance to recall Gavin Newsom's, the hair gel Hitler. Oh, I love that. I've never heard that one. Thank you, Chin, for that one. And he is a nuisance. The hair gel Hitler piece of shit. And they punted. I don't have it in my heart to pity people so married to their commie agenda. Common sense goes out the window voluntarily. I hope their shit burns to the ground. People in Texas apologize for having California license plates. God damn, I hate these people, and I've begun telling them. That is from Chin Music. Those are his real words, his real thoughts. The only thing I changed was the V word so I don't get a strike or taken off. Fucking social media. If you guys want to talk about Mark Zuckerberg. You're welcome to get on in here with some questions, comments, thoughts, predictions. Here we go. Anyways, I want to talk about this rant. California has done this to themselves. Now, I do and will say, in defense of all Republicans in the state of California, of which I was one of them, from extreme Northern California. Thank you, Uman. Before I left there and traveled far, far away to the RMZ, and then for October of 2020, I flew my happy ass back to the South, here on the mainland in the United States, settled in Florida because of the election for 2020. And then Trump ended up getting cheated. We got screwed. I've been here suffering with you guys. It would be nice just to sit in my fucking hammock in the jungle with my yurt on my platform, battling fucking roosters, chickens, and God knows what invisible ass monster there was at night. But this is my country, folks, America. Now, the climate change, folks. Oh, let me get back to Gavin Newsom. We tried a handful of times, and one time got enough signatures to get Gavin Newsom on the recall, and that was back in, I think, 2018. And the people of California, en masse, rejected it. The son of a bitch stayed in. So California got what they deserved. Look, and I hate to say this. You get what you deserve. If you allow someone to abuse you, you get what you deserve. If they're bigger than you, stronger than you, more powerful than you, and you fight like hell and still lose, well, at least you fought like hell. At least you did everything you could. But you get what you deserve. I am going to get what I deserve, folks. We all are. Ultimately, we all pay. Woo! Okay. But this is what Gavin Newsom has done, because the people of California, the good people, were outnumbered by political idiots who do want their leaders hired on the basis of their pronouns. And what have they done with their power and authority? Yes, they have ripped down dams and left their reservoirs empty. As a consequence, they didn't have the water needed to fight. They did have some super scooper planes come down. If you know what those are, it's the plane that comes down to the water, skims along it, and has scoops on the bottom, and it'll fill the belly up on the plane. It'll take off with it and go and dump that water. They're scooping water out of the ocean. And people are like, oh my God, that's going to rust cars and rust electrical components. That's terrible. It's going to kill the grass. What the fuck do you think the fire is going to do? Right? Literally, the fire is going to burn the grass, burn the trees, burn your electrical, burn your roof, house frame, all the way down to the foundation, burn your cars, burn every fucking thing. You're worried about a little bit of salt? If you can put stuff out, and trust me, the dolphins will run from that. There will be no dolphins sucked up. No dolphins. The dolphins are safe. But they've got 2 of those. That's not enough. And yes, firefighters were coming down out of Oregon, and they were stopped in Sacramento to check emissions. That is illegal, by the way. If you have an out-of-state license plate, Oregon, Nevada, Idaho, Washington, Utah, Arizona, it don't fucking matter. You're not licensed in that state. You're only visiting. Unless you move there, you don't have to have California emissions on your fucking vehicle. So this was a bullshit stop California crap, and I don't even know if it's true. It's just being widely reported that happened. Anyways, California, they've taken down dams. They've mismanaged the forests. Now, my family, my father and, great-grandfather and others have worked in the timber industry on the West Coast for, decades and generations. And when I was a boy, I used to hear about forest management. It wasn't just cutting down trees and leaving branches and shit all over, taking the logs and making a bunch of money, right? These were hardworking, blue-collar, fucking serious screwballs up there, dropping trees, timber, right? But guess what they did? They would clean up the forest floor, push all the slash with tractors into a giant pile, and in the winter, when it was safe, they would burn it. So the next year during fire season, right, it's easy to manage a forest fire by managing the underbrush. It's ridiculous. So yeah, they quit doing that decades ago, folks. Decades. They've got big, giant, bushy trees. They've got medium-sized bushes. They've got a lot of undergrowth, and it's just one giant stinking tinderbox. And then, wow, look out, folks. Right now, giving fire equipment to Ukraine, they gave everything they could to Ukraine. Everything. They cut their fire budget. They cut the fire, and then they start hiring people incapable of doing the job. People, and they've said these bureaucrats that wanted diversity, equity, and inclusion in the fire department. They didn't know where the water comes from. At the very least, they should know this. So when Chin Music says, I don't have it in my heart to pity people so married to their commie agenda, common sense goes out the window voluntarily. That's all of your Democrats. The Republicans that are still there, sadly, unfortunately, are suffering for it. Now, there's a big push for James Woods to run for governor. I hope he does. I hope he does. And I hope he stomps the living shit out of hair gel Hitler. That would be great. Anyways, I know Chin Music's not here at the moment, but I hope he shows up. And great topic. We're over 575 people live right now on the Prepared Mind channel. This is your channel. It is the zoo, which means we've got X, Facebook, YouTube, right? We've got the preparedmind.club. That's our store/premium website. We got subscribestar.com, and those premium memberships, if you will, support what we do, keep the lights on, keep the scotch going, and keep tuna and spam in our pantry. Anyways, we also have other bills to pay as well, and you guys are great. We've got staff we pay. We've got all kinds of stuff going on here. I'm just the front guy. And you would think they could have found someone more handsome to be in front of the camera, but, well, fuck, here we are. Being a smartass seems to help in this job as well. And I've known I'm a smartass since sixth grade when the teacher said, John, you know what? You're a little smartass. And I said, yeah, better than being a dumbass, teacher. And I got myself a second detention that day and realized you got to think. So, man, someone's got something to say out there. What do we want to talk about? Who the heck is it? And it is, drum roll, D Spiderweb on X says, can people who have committed treason against the United States be pardoned? That is a great question. Legal scholars right now are arguing that one. They're sweating behind the scenes. They're sweating behind the scenes. My question is, I'm not a constitutional expert. U.S. Constitution. This itty-bitty skinny book, U.S. Constitution and Declaration of Independence, and it's got some other notes as well, right? This subject, right? Well, people who want abortions, they think that it says something about abortion in here. There's not one word on it. They found the word abortion in here, and they think it's their right. But there does say things like the Second Amendment shall not be infringed. Something about free speech and the government not being able to abridge free speech, and our right to petition for redress, meaning protest, not burning cities down. The right to practice your religion, your faith. Anyways, pardoning. In my opinion, and I only attended law school. I worked as a paralegal for a couple years and then attended law school and then said, you know what? I don't like lawyers. I've only known a couple of decent lawyers, and one of them was a United States Marine, and he was a good man. Thank you, Stephen, for what you've done for me in the past. Anyways, let's continue. I don't think that treason can be pardoned. Treason is a capital offense, meaning you can be killed for it, executed, whoosh, rope, lethal injection. I don't care how it happens. Firing squad. I do not believe. Now, I am not the ultimate expert, but the question's being asked. Now, how do you know if someone has been committing treason? Well, you don't know until you know. But what Biden has done is unprecedented with his son, Hunter, in giving him a blanket, meaning every crime on the book, a blanket, preemptive, meaning no one's accused him of anything. Well, he's not being tried for anything else. Well, just in case he's done anything between 2024, when he gave him the pardon, all the way back to 2014, he gave him a blanket pardon. Now, I don't think that covers treason. I don't think it can cover treason because it is the most heinous crime of all with respect to a state or government, whatever the state of the form is you want to call it. I don't think so. I do not think you can give a pardon for it. I don't think you can give a preemptive pardon for treason. Can you imagine that? But that's why they called it a blanket pardon, right? That Biden did that blanket pardon, so we don't have to name the crimes like child molestation, child rape, and I'm talking about Hunter Biden, potentials, allegedly, according to the videos I saw, selling drugs, weighing drugs, pricing drugs with hookers, snorting coke off hookers' asses, reckless driving while under the influence of drugs and alcohol, not to mention just being downright tasteless. Good God. Anyways, D. Spider Weber, I tell you what, I do not believe they can be pardoned. And at the very least, they should be arrested. Let's just say Trump wants to arrest Nancy Pelosi and she goes, I've got a Biden get out of jail free preemptive blanket pardon. Arrest her anyways. Arrest her anyways and put her in jail. Well, John, you can't do that. Oh, really? Washington, D.C., you don't have any constitutional rights. Just ask the J6ers who were arrested for not having committed any crimes. Period. And being charged with something that doesn't exist. You know what they're being found guilty of? Parading or trespassing in the Capitol. They weren't charged with insurrection. That was the media. That was the in front of television screen. Parading. Well, interfering with official law enforcement duty. You mean when the police started by firing rubber bullets, tear gas pellets, tear gas canisters, and beating the fuck out of people with batons? Are you telling me that laying on the ground and bleeding is impeding an officer? Ask Roseanne Boylan what she thinks of that accusation. Oh, wait, she's dead. The only people that died on January 6th are Americans, no cops, no government agents. A man was thrown off of the fucking balcony by a cop on January 6th. He fell about 20 feet onto fucking stone and lived. Folks, I fell 12 feet. Maybe it was 10 to 12 feet off of an extension ladder down onto a wooden deck. And people heard that shit a furlong, an eighth of a mile away, and came to see what the hell happened, right? That fucking hurt. I ended up taking the rest of the day off. They did not feel good. I can't imagine falling 20 fucking feet onto stone. Anyways, great question. I hope I answered that well. Mr. Uman, I know you've got a topic that you wanted to discuss and come on camera with me. It's very important also. I've got more to talk about with respect to being prepared, understanding who the enemy is, understanding who is funding and supplying the enemy, and understanding who and what in government is going to allow us to be attacked. Uman, let's start with you. What do you want to do? You up on the screen. All right.
Evening, John. Evening, John.
Bam.
Evening, folks. How's everybody doing tonight? Yeah, before the show, we were talking a little bit about, hold on, let me turn that off, fix the mic. before the show, we were talking a little bit about that initiative Tom Homan wants to pass about, the illegal immigrant hotline. And, we were discussing a little bit about how that sounds great on paper, but kind of a double-edged sword.
Right. You've got a question. Would you like me to kind of address the topic a little bit? I think one of the concerns is people using it similar to a red flag law to do a swatting people.
Correct.
Okay. So I don't know how it's going to be enforced or acted upon. Let's just say I called because my neighbor has some undocumented type people in the house. And I don't know if they're legal or illegal, but they don't speak very good English. There's a lot of crazy ass music coming from over there, right? It looks like a crazy ass pinata party on steroids. So I call the police. Are the police to show up and bang through the door with a door smasher and go in guns a-blazing like they do no-knock warrants in the middle of the night? Or do police show up because I called, knock on the door, like a normal police action, ask for the owner of the house. The owner says, what do you want? And the cop says, are there any illegals here? And if they say no, right? How hard is that? If they say, I'm not telling you nothing, go to hell, whatever, can the police go and get a warrant at that point? I think there still needs to be the warrant process, due process through this. Right? So I could see how, yes, one, it could be abused. I also see how the police can actually do their jobs the right way. Right? You don't do a no-knock, kick the door in, drag everyone out, hold them at gunpoint. I think that's unnecessary. A lot of these illegals, I think, would come right out of the house and go get the La Migra van and get hauled out. But are there going to be people who are members of gangs that are obvious criminals that don't get caught? They'll run, jump over the back fence, any number of things, maybe shoot at police. It's going to be a mess. But will it be abused is the question.
Well, like any government power, it's bound to be abused.
Correct. Yeah, I believe some people will pick on their neighbors they don't like, especially older boomer generation who don't know and don't understand what's going on. They're just nervous. People who want to make political enemies will do it. Yeah, that's a big question. How do we get this? How do you figure it out? Well, how about this?
Apparently we got some echo issues going on here. So I'm going to mute the mic in between talking here so that we don't get that. I'm not hearing it on my end here, but there are a bunch of folks in the chat are saying so.
You can hear it when I talk and you're listening.
Yeah. So when the other point I wanted to make about this was like when the pendulums of power swing, just like when they had in Congress, the filibuster. The Democrats loved it when they implemented that, but now when that started getting used against them, they started screaming and crying. And is this going to be any different than that scenario was? So that's about all I had on that. So why don't I turn myself off and we'll get rid of this echo and I'll let you get back to it. We got a couple more questions too.
Okay, great. Thanks, man. Okay, so it be abused by government? Does government abuse power and authority? Yes. Can it be done properly? Yes. I would say let's just say I was calling on my neighbor who appears to have illegals hiding there, right? There's now 10 people living next door. Last year there was only 2. Now there's 10. So I file a complaint. The police show up at my place and they knock on my door. Okay, John, you complained and said there's some illegals in the neighborhood. We're here to investigate. Number 1, where are they? What's the house? How many are there? Give us a description. What do they look like? Approximate height, weight, facial hair, no facial hair. How do they dress? Do you know their names? Do you have any video camera, either video or pictures of them to help the police go knock on the door? And if there is sufficient evidence that illegals are being hidden there, sufficient evidence for a warrant They could go knock on the door and say, hello there, neighbor. We need to see these pictures. And they could print off or show electronic pictures of the guys that I pointed out. Right? Is this guy here? Who is this? Who is this person? Who is this? And if the person's uncooperative, well, then you know they're hiding something. Hey, fuck you, man. Okay, well, it looks like you're hiding him. Right? We're going to go get a warrant. And as soon as we catch these people, guess what? It's your ass, and you're going to jail for obstruction of justice at the federal level. Right? People will learn to cooperate if people are being arrested for fucking around. Now, I'm talking about, say, a person, an American, legitimately using the report a fucking illegal program. Now, I believe under Obama and Valerie Jarrett of the Department of Homeland Security, they said, see something, say something. See something, say something. See something, say something. And it was fine for the Democrats to use that. But now they want to say, hey, Republicans, don't you dare. Ooh, don't you. You guys are going to abuse it. But now Uman's point is what happens when the pendulum, if and when it swings back the other way. And the Democrats are in charge. And they want to come after who? Report your Americans that we want to deport. They can't deport you. Report your Americans who what? You think aren't paying their taxes? Where's your evidence they're not paying? Report your American neighbors you don't like because they're Republicans? No, because you think they have guns? Well, that's the red flag law, right? Well, they're dangerous. They're dangerous. They've been threatening, Yeah, I get it. And nothing is going to stop them from doing that. They're going to continue to pull that bullshit nonsense from here on out. They never stopped. The Democrats have not stopped red flagging, right? Swatting, if you will. Hello, police. My neighbor has got his, here's the address. And my neighbor, he's got the gun pointed to someone's head and they're screaming and yelling over there. And I just heard a bang. I don't know what's going on. You need to get to the address, 12345 Pine Sweet Drive Boulevard. And, and they do that. Fuck them. Right. There's no helping Democrats. Not a bit. In fact, I think they're going to become not only more dangerous and more violent, but their IQs are dropping. I'm not being funny here. I believe that the clot shot is causing micro clots in their bloodstream, and rather than very large strokes, they're having micro strokes, tiny clots that are circulating through their little brains and plugging the capillaries and slowly killing off their brains. They're becoming more aggressive, more violent, more threatening, nastier, and certainly they can't make an intelligent argument or cite evidence. They're all becoming like Mad Maxines. Right? They're all becoming idiots. They're all becoming Crockett's. They're all becoming AOCs. They're losing their minds. It's going to be a wild ass world. Anyways, yeah, there's going to be abuses. There's no chance of that not happening with this whole hunting down illegals thing. Whether they're from Pakistan or Egypt or Palestine, or whether they're from Central or South America or Mexico. It's going to be a fucking mess. And people that harbor criminals, their neighbors are not going to like them. Their neighbors are not going to like them. So trust me, your neighbor starts hiding them and they get found out and outed. Everyone in that neighborhood should shame the ever-loving fuck out of them. Don't do anything mean or harmful or dangerous, but let them know that they're a piece of shit. And you can say that. You can go out on your front lawn and scream at their house, as long as it's not too early in the morning or too late at night and violate city ordinances. You can let them know, fuck you. Hiding illegals in this country, illegals that want to blow the country up, set it on fire, rape girls, kidnap people, sell drugs, import drugs, commit acts of violence, set up gangs. Yeah, that's a real noble fucking profession. Hiding illegals. Nothing noble about it. 600 people plus live here on the Sunday Night Live Zoo. Folks, it is your show. It is your show. Ooh, man, thank you for that great topic. I tell you what, I would rather try and get these fucking illegals out than go, you know what, we don't want to violate anyone's, sense of decency by knocking on a door and asking if there's illegals there. Yes, there's going to be abuse. Are we suffering abuse now? You can just ask Locke and Riley. There's a little abuse. How about all the girls in New York City that have been kidnapped, attempted kidnapped, raped, assaulted, beat on, murdered all over the country? Oh, yeah. There have been, in England, 250,000 girls over the last 10 years have been raped by rape gangs. That's foreign Muslim rape gangs. And it's their religious belief that, well, if you're not one of them, you're fair game. Allah wants them to rape your daughters. Well, how fucking about that? That's the religion of peace, my ass. Right? Anyways, this is they're great topics, and I'm extremely passionate about it. That's why YouTube has defunded us. That's why I rely on you guys with Venmo and CashApp support. And then also through the premium channels, subscribestar.com and the preparedmind.club. That's why we use Venmo and CashApp. Bam, bam, bam. Okay, that is how we do it. Right? That's how we keep the lights on. Okay, I think we've got another question coming from the Uman side. I've got things, I've got some good stuff to talk about. But this is wait, I saw Remy Mersch, our good friend. Remy Mersch is from the Netherlands, my friends. He used to have the Danish flag up there. But Remy, thank you for checking in, sir. I hope all is well over across the pond. He says, I feel like North Carolina received nothing compared to California. Oh, that has gotten a big what the fuck? It truly has, Remy. A big WTF. Yeah, let's see. Florida, next to nothing or $750. Hawaii? Sorry, we burned down your island paradise. $750 if you qualify. North Carolina? $750 if you qualify. California? Joe Biden comes out and says, whatever you guys need, unlimited funds to help you out. What the ever-loving fuck is that about? Yeah, well, I mean, with North Carolina, the hurricane victims, they were told, well, we've got no money left in the FEMA budget. Well, that was in 2024. Well, Florida, F you, sorry about the hurricanes, nothing for you, 2024 budget. Hawaii, well, that was what, 2023? And by the way, all of that beautiful, beautiful Lahaina property now owned by, well, wealthy elites and land developers. Wonder how that works. But California, oh, that is a liberal stronghold, and we can't have Hollywood burning down and not making sure we make those people whole, right? We want to make sure they don't lose anything. Well, guess what? I don't believe that the California fires were set in a conspiratorial manner by some, shall we say, Illuminati globalist plan to steal real estate for a mine or for the premium property. You know what? I believe that was started by terrorists. The evidence I have seen and the fact that people are being caught. Foreigners, yeah. Immigrants, I'm going to call them illegals because what they're doing is illegal, running around with fucking torches, trying to start fires. And then the police are like, yeah, we didn't have enough evidence to hold them. What do you need? The whole fucking mountain burned down and a bunch of houses before you say arson, right? If you try murdering someone, you shoot a bullet past their head. That's attempted murder. You're arrested. I guess attempted arson doesn't count. Right? They're so stupid they can't set fires every single time they try it. I tell you, folks. Well, we're in the first hour still. We're going to go 2 hours. If you guys have got something you want to talk about, thank you, Mr. Ramey. I appreciate your great support in the past. Ramey used to do super chats on YouTube. Guess what? We can't do super chats anymore. We've got to do Cash App and Venmo, which works great. Because guess what? There's one great, huge, big, giant fucking advantage to that. And I'll tell you what it is. When people would donate through YouTube, the Cash App, or I'm sorry, the super chat button, YouTube would keep a percentage of it. They didn't do a fucking thing to earn it. They put commercials in, they give us nothing. If someone did a super chat, they'd take a little percentage of that for themselves for doing nothing. Now they get jack shit. If you do Venmo or Cash App, guess what? YouTube, X, nobody gets to take a penny of that because it all goes right through our account. So that is full support for the channel, and I want to thank those who, during Sunday Night Live at the zoo and also throughout the week, make contributions to keep us going, to keep the lights on, to fund our channel. You guys are awesome, and I really appreciate the great support. We're at 650 people live right now. I wanted to hit the 700 mark in the second hour, and this show does that. We literally grow and extend the number of viewers the longer the show goes. I can only talk for about 2 hours. But so do that. Hit the share button, share the internet address, and on X, tell friends, tell family, get your ass here and learn about what's going on. We share opinions. You decide for yourself what you're going to do, what you're going to believe, etc. One of the things I want to encourage people to do, though, and continue to encourage people to do, is understand who your congressman is and your 2 senators, and then learn about all the other congressmen who you should support, and then also those who you should chastise. And you can, through X, find them, follow them, and send them messages every single day. Because, I mean, understand this is very important. During the election, politicians used to think, well, this is the time I listen to the people. They voted for me, so I'm going to do whatever, right? Blah, blah, blah. Whatever they say. As soon as the election's over, they quit doing what we say, and they do whatever the fuck they want. Gives themselves raises, benefits, bonuses, insider trading, money laundering through Ukraine. They do all that shit because the election's over. Well, here we are now. We can yell at them and scream at them and be on top of them, tell them we're watching them, make fun of them, criticize them, point out their faults, congratulate them for doing things right, encourage them to keep doing things right. It just depends on if you got a bad one or a good one. Someone like Dan Crenshaw, fucking Eye Patch McCain, he tried saying some stupid shit and got his ass ridden. Chip Roy was an anti-Trumper. Now he's shining Trump's shoes, right? Fucking Festerman, Uncle Festerman, right? Fetterman, a Democrat senator from Pennsylvania, right? He went down to Mar-a-Lago to talk to Trump. And I think the media asked him what he was going to talk to Trump about. The dude totally trolled the media, and I want to congratulate him for this. He said, I want Trump to pronounce me Pope of Greenland. He wants to be the Pope of Greenland. Fucking hilarious. Because once you put him in a Pope robe with his bald head and stuff, he looks like a freaking monk. Anyways, right? We can congratulate them and we can criticize them. We can tell them obey or tell them you better knock that shit off. We're going to vote you out of office. So every time you send them a message, it's just like voting. Don't let them squirm and get away, hide under their rocks. I want you guys to make sure you're stomping them into the ground for fucking up and congratulating them when they do something right. Right? Elon Musk, he got his ass chewed off for this immigrant visa bullshit. Well, he wants to say something right, like, well, go after Keir Starmer in England, right? Great. Congratulate him for doing the right stuff. Criticize the fuck out of him for the wrong stuff. We can keep participating in the process and making this fight real. It is a First Amendment battle currently. If we don't stay on top of them, it's going to be a Second Amendment battle. A Second Amendment battle, if you get my drift. Partisan conflict is coming, and I want to talk about that in just a few minutes. What is happening around the world and what is going to happen here? The masters of the world. They think they're the masters of the universe. They think they're your masters. They have plans for us, folks. Mr. Uman, who wants to step up next and bring their topic right here to thousands of Americans? And this is all Patriot Network. We've got Alan Meyer Jensen. And he says, congratulations, United States of America, on the new record 1871 Great Fire of Chicago. Beat that, LA now 8 times more, while the officials there make a fund to go after Trump. Make a fund. Anyways, yeah, every last one of these liberals in California, from the very top, Gavin Newsom, and get this, Gavin Newsom, governor of California, that's right, hair gel Hitler, that guy, says, this is Trump's fault, right? They're blaming Trump, and then he says, we need to go after whoever's responsibility for this. Dude, Governor Gruesome Newsom, Governor Hair Gel Hitler, it's you. You're the governor. You're responsible. The mayor of Los Angeles, you're responsible. The fire chief, you're responsible. The bureaucrat who makes $750,000 a year to procure water and get it into the reservoirs to hold for emergencies and general use. That person's responsible. Are any of these acts criminal? I'll tell you what. If I own a house and I put boards with nails sticking up all over the floor and all over the lawn, have I done anything wrong? Well, no, I haven't hurt anyone. But if someone gets on the property and they get hurt and start getting punctured, they're going to sue me for criminal negligence, right? Just like people who put electric fences on their Trump signs, and these fucking liberal bastards go up and try ripping them out of the ground and get the shit shocked out of them. Or they put nails in boards underneath their Trump signs and people try running them over, and instead they get a flat tire, right? They want to sue people for criminal negligence. The government wants to sue them for mischievous action, right? Mischievous action. How come dereliction of duty, knowing that the job is put water in the reservoirs, when they don't do it, they're criminally negligent, in my opinion. When they cut funding, when they won't hire firemen, when they fire firemen for not taking the Jim Jones juice, the clot shot, when they fire, that's criminal negligence. Their job is to find people, hire people, and get them in the fire department to do the job, to have water available, to have resources available, fire trucks, equipment, planes. I think they're all responsible. But guess what? From Gavin Newsom to the mayor to the fire chief to every street level dumbass Democrat, they're blaming Trump. And climate change. Face palm. For climate change. Oh, you mean California's dry? We didn't fucking know that? These people, folks, like I said, they are brain damaged. Everyone who's gotten the Jim Jones juice and boosters, juice boosters, brain damage, and it's going to get worse. It's not a joke. It is my opinion of what is happening based on reports by cardiologists, pulmonologists. How about this? Undertakers, morticians, coroners. How about hematologists? How about cancer doctors, oncologists? Right? They are seeing some crazy shit. Children having heart attacks and dying. Teenagers having heart attacks and dying. Super athletes having heart attacks and dying. It's getting into their brains. If it's not giving you a heart attack outright, it's doing some other fucking damage. Look out, folks. If you are suspicious that you're suffering from symptoms, go online and look for detox for the Jim Jones juice. Detox to help cleanse your body, get it out, and break that shit. It's awful, folks. Anyways, Alan, thank you very much for the great topic. Yeah, they beat the 1871 Great Fire of Chicago. I can't. Bessie the cow kicked the lantern over and burned the fucking city down. Well, L.A., they're not going to let Illinois beat them. No. No. LA beat Chicago. Wasn't that the World Series, man? No. LA beat someone else, but LA, they love to win. Well, they won again, damn it. Okay. As promised, I want to talk about you, me, us, America, being prepared for what is coming based on what's happening in England, Germany, France, Italy, Austria, Spain, Portugal, Hungary, Romania, Slovakia, Macedonia. Did I skip anyone? All right. Thank you, Mr. Uman. Good deal. I'll get to that. This is just soup. Look, in Germany, the political party called the Alternative for Germany, the AfD, Alternative for Deutschland, Germany. It's a politically right party. It's not Nazi. It's not Hitler. It's not fascist. They want freedom. They want liberty. They don't want to be invaded by Muslims anymore from other countries that want to kill them and rape them. They want to protect Germany, keep Germany culturally, traditionally, and legally German. The AfD. They were holding a convention in Germany, and approximately 12,000 Antifa members showed up, and they were masked. They were wearing riot gear like the police have, and some of them were armed with guns. I doubt it. With sticks, clubs, and other, shall we say, makeshift weapons. Yes, armed and dangerous. They assaulted AfD members trying to get to their convention, including Alice Weidel's limousine, right? She rode into the convention there and got assaulted, right? She, right? She interviewed Elon Musk. But they get this. I'm going to read to you. This is from the gatewaypundit.com, a great source of information and news. Some of it's relevant, some of it's not. Some of it's good, some of it's left-wingish. Some of it's ridiculous and stupid. There are many news sources out there that I use to get information from. And one of the biggest, bestest news sources is you guys who send emails through the preparedmind.club and get comments and thoughts up here on the screen and get me looking in new areas. Anyways, let me get to the article. The anti-fascists, Antifa, organized themselves military style in color-coded militia groups, and they erected roadblocks on the roads into Riesa, demanding to see identification from people arriving to check against the lists of the Alternative for Deutschland members, who were then forced to turn around while police looked on. That's right. The Antifa people had lists of political party representatives, political party supporters that were trying to get to the convention. And if their name on their ID matched the name on their lists, they would force them to leave, not attend. I can't fucking tell you how illegal this is, even in Germany. And guess what? The police did jack shit. They let Antifa, the anti-fascists, act like Gestapo, act like brown shirts, act like the Stasi, act like the KGB, act like, well, the FBI. They acted like they had power and authority to do this. Right, here we go. Let's continue. Members of the AfD reported being led on a wild goose chase for up to 5 to 6 hours to reach the convention venue. In other words, they kept trying to get in. Right? They couldn't. Right? If a political party wants to compete in the elections, they are required to hold a convention and vote for party members. That's what Antifa was trying to stop by dressing like police, acting like police, demanding identification, turning people the wrong direction, harming them, assaulting them. Right? 12,000 of them. I'm going to go back to the Gateway Pundit. The massive attack on democracy was organized and funded by the left-wing network around George Soros funded CAMPACT. That's the German version of the George Soros funded Move On. So CAMPACT, the anti-freedom left-wing Marxist group funded by George Soros. They published lists of buses transporting their guerrilla street guys, Teresa, right? They published this list. Get on the time. They published it in their book called Wiedensetzen, which means resist. The Compact or CAMPACT Democracy Foundation. They were given $300,000 by the Open Society Foundations. Now, the question I have is our nation next again? Another George Soros funded national attack like they did in 2020 by funding Antifa and BLM and protests and busing their most violent radical screwballs to every city? Is that coming to America? They did it in 2020. Why wouldn't they do it to Trump? Will they do it to Trump? Will the police allow them to organize, to impede, to commit crimes the way they did in 2020? Will Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats do that? I think so, folks. I think it is coming. I really do. I really believe it's coming. We're at 675 people live still on the Prepared Mind channels, Sunday Night Live, the Zoo. And I want to thank everyone for showing up. We got a lot to talk about. You guys have some questions. Ooh, man, who do we want to put up first, put up next? And we've got Robert F., who's done a $13.29 super chat donation. And he says, New Scum, meaning hair gel Hitler. New Scum shut down natural irrigation 10 years ago. Still over 3 feet down and bone dry. The Santa Ana winds off the ocean will never stop. Southern Cali will continue to burn, burn, burn. Almost like the Man in Black. His burning ring of fire. Right? Johnny Cash, the Man in Black. Burn, burn, burn. Oh, good golly. I won't even sing the song. The Santa Ana winds. If you're not familiar with that term, growing up being from California, I was up north, but still, we learned what the Santa Ana winds were. Back in the early 80s, I learned what the Santa Ana winds are. They blow off the ocean at certain times of the year, and they make any fires that occur just incredibly ferocious. Incredibly ferocious. There are people who are claiming that directed energy weapons are involved. There are people claiming that foreigners are starting the fires. The police are arresting people, being accused of that, and letting them go. Right? This is a shit show. A shit show. They want to blame Trump. They want to blame climate change. The climate is the same in Southern California. It's dry and windy. And it's always dry and windy until it's not dry and windy. Oh, and I tell you what, the first time it rains, they're all going to scream, oh my God, mudslides. We're going to have landslides, mudslides. Good golly. Share the internet address. Tell people on X. Text friends. Email friends. Family. Co-workers. Tell them to come on here. Start the video at the beginning. Watch the video. Learn and network. That is absolutely incredible. Our networking. Joining one another and networking, folks. I'm telling you, it's absolutely critical to go on X. It is the most useful social media application for not just networking with me and following me, and everyone that follows me and Ooman on X, we will follow you back, unless you're a prostitute trying to sell your goods or trying to get us to join the Illuminati. I got 3 invitations to join the Illuminati today. There's hustles out there for money. We are here to hustle information, to share information, to network with information so that mainstream media, social media, big tech don't control the information we get and how we think. In fact, Zark Muckerberg, or the Zucker Cuck, right, the owner of Meta and Facebook, he has decided he's going to come out and he's going to make free speech on Facebook real again. Yeah. 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 Do you believe this clown fucking lied to Congress how many times? Lied to Congress. Was never held in contempt. Never held liable for perjury, lying. Was allowed to continue to fuck us over. Took money from the federal government, followed the federal government's censorship program. And Trump, by the way, is going to make that illegal for the federal government to give money to companies to censor us or censor anybody, period. In fact, I've got, there's lots of that, folks. There's lots of stuff going on, but Zuckercuck, he's losing money and he's losing his ass. And so he's trying to kiss everyone's ass. Folks, I want to get up over 700 people live. It'll be fucking awesome. Damn, let's do it. Let's get it on, folks. We got to share information. We got $5 from Augie L. He says, I don't have a question. Just wanted to say hello. Well, thank you, Augie. Semper Fi, brother. He says, oh, can I say fuck Joe Biden? Well, you can write it and I can say it for you. Fuck Joe Biden. And as a bonus for your contribution, right, your $5 contribution through Venmo and CashApp, PayPal, etc. Fuck Pelosi, Schumer, the Clintons, the Obamas. Yeah, Christopher Wray of the FBI, Alejandro Mayorkas, that sack of shit loser who runs the Department of Homeland Security. Every last one of these scumbag Democrats. AOC, right? Just fuck them all. They hate America and they hate you. And when they use the word democracy, they mean bureaucracy. Because anytime you see the word democracy, put the word bureaucracy. Trump is trying to destroy our democracy. No, you're afraid Trump wants to destroy the bureaucracy, the unelected, unaccountable. Everything they do, no matter how bad it is and destructive, like in California or Florida or North Carolina or any other state in the union, offshore, right? They want to fuck our country up. It's the bureaucracy. And I think they should be held criminally liable. Dereliction of duty, right? Dereliction of duty, criminal negligence, and interfering with the proper operation of government operations as well as the operations of private citizens and companies. They are hurting America, folks, not helping. That's all they do. That's all government does. Ronald Reagan said it best. Government is not the answer or solution to our problems. Government is the problem. May he rest in peace. Augie, thank you very much for your great support of the show. Unbelievable, folks, what's going on. Unbelievable. We got more comments out of the crowd. Mr. Uman, who's up next? And Courageous Cat. Courageous Cat. That's Darcy T, by the way. She says, I agree that the IQ is dropping overall. If you watch the police blotter videos, adults are acting like little children and not able to control their emotions. Before we switch to the next one, Uman, let me continue with that. That is absolutely correct. These Democrats are acting like children. Democrat politicians, they're like, do you know who I am? Yeah, you're drunk off your ass. That's who you are. They're doing that. They're lashing out. They're attacking. They're insulting. And then they're like, I don't know why I lost my job at the college as a professor telling my students they should go kill Republicans. Right? They're idiots. Now let's go to the last comment there from Courageous Cat, who writes, police are becoming babysitters to full-grown adults. And then we have the police, who are either the very best or the very worst because they have authority. If you use authority properly, the world's a better place. If you abuse authority, the world is a shitty place. There are a lot of police videos I have seen where police are having to act like babysitters, right? And deal with these morons they pull over, and they end up having to arrest them because they get violent, right? But police are also suffering from brain damage. They seem to have forgotten about this one little thing called the Constitution. It's right there. They see, the ones that have taken the Jim Jones juice and their brains are shrinking, we're going to have problems, folks. There's a lot of Democrat police, just like there's a lot of Democrat Americans everywhere. Zombies don't give a fuck. And they're partisan. That's the one thing we never saw in the movies, is the zombies being partisan. They want to eat everyone's brains. Well, in the case of the zombies that are coming, and they're right now, folks, they're being created, in my opinion. These people are calling them retards. They're brain dead, retarded people out there. And the violence, the road rage, the stupidity, unbelievable. I had 2 women, old women at that. They weren't middle-aged, they weren't young, they were my age and older, staring at my truck because I had a Trump hat in the front window, which did its job. Let them know how I voted. Stared at me and they fucking mad dogged me. So you know what I did? Oh man, do you know what I did? Instead of flipping them off or rolling my window down and cussing at them, telling them to go fuck themselves, I fucking smiled and waved. I was like, hi. And that just pissed them off more. Thankfully, they didn't come and do something stupid like beat my truck with a baseball bat or something. But it's like, who do you think you are? You think you ladies are going to scare me? Are you fucking kidding? After being shot, stabbed, dragged, hit, run over, right? You think you're going to scare me? After having the ever-loving fuck beat out of me my whole life, you think you're going to scare me? But that's what they think. These are full-grown adults out there, folks. Full-grown, right? Oh, another friend of mine just the other day had a obvious Democrat idiot begging for money. The reason I say it was obvious is because what they were doing, right? Well, I need money. Gave a bunch of ridiculous excuses, shit that didn't make a lick of sense. Right? Well, you're rich because you have a car, and so therefore, right? You're rich. They turned it into wealth identity politics, and then threatened acts of violence and destruction because they didn't get their way, and the police had to be called and had to treat this guy and his girl to 20 questions at the police cruiser for threatening people for not giving them money because they felt that all the rich people who work for a living needed to give them their money. Totally, fucking even the bums are Marxist, in other words. All right, man. I appreciate that one. Let's do one more, then I'm going to jump onto a topic that I've been worried about, wondering about. And again, it's the progression of events. Things start here, and then they get a little worse, a little worse, a little crazier, a little worse, a little crazier. And it is the slippery slope. But if it continues to go in the wrong direction and get worse, that's not a logical fallacy. We've got a slippery slope on our hands. All right, man. But for now, let's see what you guys want to talk about. And it's F home to see. He says, action speaks louder than words. I no longer listen to what they say. And he, my friends, is talking about politicians. Politicians. On television, right? In the media. F Holmes 2C says, I no longer listen to what they say. I just watch what they do. Their atrocious behavior never lies. Let's apply this to Hair Gel Hitler. I really like that, man. Chin Music deserves a chocolate medal of honor for that one. Anyways, yeah, watching their actions. Watch their actions. That tells you who they are and what they really believe. California reduced the severity of the penalty for pedophiles. They want to make it okay to have sex with children down to the age of 10 or 12. They're sick. They won't say that out loud, but that's how they vote. That's what they do. That's how they vote. That's what they do. These DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, lesbians that run the LA Fire Department, they've turned it into a political shitstorm because it was more important for them to hire the LGB crowd and instead of people who can do the job. Unbelievable. And when it comes to the Republicans, same story. I'm with you. Now, understand, you can't vote while on television. You can't. Right? You can go on an interview on a television and do an interview, or you can go on a podcast and do an interview. You can do interviews, and that's where they talk. But you and I and people within our network, all of us, we can watch and see how they voted. Not what they said and how they talk, but what they actually do. And then we can hold them accountable. Oh, you don't want to vote for that? Well, guess what? We're sending you messages telling me we're voting you out of office. We're voting you out unless you become a hardcore America First constitutional Republican. And we also need to primary out Democrats, right? And when we see them do things wrong, we need to get after them as well, folks. We're this short, this shy of 700 people live right now. An hour and 20 minutes into the show. We're that close. Let's get it up over 700. Write, text, email your friends and family. Tell them to come on. Send them a link. Share this video with others. Hit the share button. You can share out of Facebook, maybe. You can share out of YouTube for sure. And you can share out of X. Anyways, let's do it, folks. We got lots to talk about still. We're going to go to 2 hours. We've got just over 30 minutes left. Your super chat donations make this show possible. It pays the bills, keeps the lights on, and sometimes gets me a scotch or two. In any event, Mr. Uman, who wants to step up next with comments, thoughts, etc.? And it's Vivian P. And she says, I bet this is a multi-layered scam in California. These fires are guaranteed to disperse a lot of Democrats to red states, which they will try and flip to blue. Could take a long time, not impossible. This is an interesting perspective, and this is why you guys are so critical to the show. That is a unique perspective. I never saw the 2-year, 4-year downstream effect of this. A lot of people will be forced to leave California. Yes, they will, because they don't have a home. They don't have a job. They lost their business. Move to another state, start over. For a lot of Republicans, they're going to be like, that's the last fucking straw. We're out. Even those who don't live in Southern California might say, shit, we could be next. Out. Out. I can't tell you how many years under Gavin Newsom when I lived way up north in Northern California. It looked like fucking Mordor from the movies, right? These big, giant, beautiful mountains, the Sierra Nevadas and the Cascades up there, up north. And the smoke would just roil over the top and just come at us, and it just looked like fingers of black death because the forest fires would burn and Gavin Newsom wouldn't do shit. And yeah, I left because I don't like the taxes. I didn't like the attitude, even though I was in a very Republican area. Even though I was in a very Republican area, there was still 4 out of 10 were Democrats. But this is Vivian's take. People are going to disperse. The Democrats will leave and they'll go to states and try and flip them blue. I believe they'll go into Arizona. They'll go into Nevada. They'll go into Utah. They'll go into Idaho. And they're trying to turn them blue. But guess what? They're fighting the fuck out of that. The only thing keeping Arizona anywhere near being up for grabs is the cheating, lying sacks of pieces of rhino Republican bullshit that live in Maricopa County. Henderson County, Nevada is another example of a place that the Democrats are trying to control. That's Las Vegas. Idaho, they're trying to infiltrate and fill up Boise first and foremost. And then there's other areas up along the Snake River, Coeur d'Alene, etc. But they've taken over Colorado, Denver. They've taken over New Mexico, Albuquerque, and surrounding areas. And they've overrun and overpopulated. They're going to try to do that. But Republicans have been leaving California. They have been leaving Colorado. They have been, Yeah, which is bad for Colorado, but good for other states. They've been leaving Illinois. They've been leaving New York and New England states and coming into freedom states down south. Florida is no longer in play. Florida is hardcore Republican red. Hardcore. They've lost this fucking state. Texas is doing the same. Folks, it's the cheating. It's the cheating the Democrats do. The problem from 2020 was not solved in 2022. It wasn't solved for 2024. Now that Trump is in office, they need to make voter ID mandatory. They need to make only citizens vote the law. And that needs to be mandated. It needs to be federal, and it needs to apply everywhere and be enforced everywhere. There needs to be real felony penalties for these crimes. Cheating in an election, whether it's local, state, or federal. You cheat, you're going to prison. Fuck, you protest and walk into the Capitol, public property, and you go to jail for 4 fucking years? Well, that's what the Democrats like, and they think that's just fine. Well, I think we ought to give them 8. We just topped 700 people live. Just topped here in the Prepared Mind studios. Woo! 700 people live, folks. We have not had that in years. And I'm grateful, and happy, fucking ecstatic that we've got it back. We're growing again big time. On YouTube, we topped 80,000 subscribers. 80,000. On our way to 100 and even more. And guess what? YouTube stopped us. They stopped you. They quit promoting us because we didn't have their message. And now they just tell me, your show's too controversial. Your topics are dangerous. I am a threat, according to YouTube. Have I said anything threatening? All I talk about is observing and obeying the Constitution, holding criminals liable, stopping crime, making sure government does its job. That's all I talk about. Yet I'm considered a danger, a threat to people. My topics are dangerous. Has anyone heard anything dangerous? Have I said we're going to put the LGBT crowd into concentration camps? No. Have I said we're going to arrest Democrats and put them in concentration? No. Have I said I'm going to take the rights of Democrats? No. But I'm considered dangerous. You, my friends, are also extremely dangerous according to liberal, left-wing, loser Democrats. Yeah, YouTube told me both their computer algorithms and real human beings determined I'm dangerous. Meanwhile, liberals are calling for the murder, the assassination of Trump, no problem, across social media platforms everywhere. They praise death, destruction. They praise abortion, which kills babies. They praise violence against Republicans and Republican politicians. They harass judges. They love that, but that's fine. You and me, we're dangerous according to these people. All right, we're right at the 90-minute mark. I want to talk about a topic that's near and dear to my heart, and that is SHTF, what we call partisan conflict. Partisan meaning political operatives, and conflict meaning WAR, right? And we're seeing how this is going to go, how it's going to come about. Over in Europe, I'm looking at them because, well, they're more socialist and they are more liberal than we are over here in America. And the good people of Europe are fighting against the autocratic, totalitarian, authoritarian governmental system in Europe that is headed by the completely totalitarian European Union, the EU. There is a huge escalation in pissed off citizenry, protests, and even conflict in Slovakia. right? It used to be Czechoslovakia after World War II, and they split it back and gave it the Czech Republic and Slovakia. Well, Slovakia is pissed off at Kiev, right? There's an escalation in attitudes and anger between Slovakia and Volodymyr Zelensky, right? The light and the loafers leader of Ukraine. And what are they fighting about? Why is Slovakia pissed off at Ukraine? It has everything to do with, well, the Russian gas transit, pipeline, oil, gas, energy. Energy is your standard of living. If things are really cheap, energy-wise, well, your costs are lower. If energy is more expensive, it's more expensive to drive, transport, and produce goods. And right now, Europe is being punished. They can't get cheap energy out of Russia. So instead, they're having to buy expensive energy from, you got it, the United States of America under Biden. So the Prime Minister of Slovakia, Fico, he is called Ukrainian President Zelensky. I call him Voldemort. He is calling him a beggar and a blackmailer. That's pretty much a major escalation. A major escalation when the leader of one country is calling another leader a blackmailer. I call correction on this. The little gay bastard is a billionaire blackmailer. Zelensky is a billionaire now, folks. A billionaire. He's kept, how many houses does he have around the world? I think he's even got one in Florida. God help the little bastard if I find out where he lives, because I will probably protest outside of his house. Zelensky has houses all around the Mediterranean. I think he's got villas in Italy and I think the Macedonia or Dalmatian or Croatian coastline. They collect money for the war and then give it to themselves. And then that's the begging side. And the blackmail is when he doesn't get his way. When Zelensky doesn't get his way, he starts calling people names and threatening that they're all going to have to go to war because, Russia. I'm glad that Slovakia's Prime Minister Fico, who, by the way, was shot multiple times with a handgun in an assassination attempt for opposing the European Union's support of Zelensky's battle and fight against Russia, when that battle and that war, or rather special military operation. It's not a war. It's a special military operation. An SMO under the rules of conflict, because Zelensky and his Nazi army, that's right, Zelensky has a Nazi army. People don't like to hear this. It's a fact. His Nazi army, the Azov Battalion, was killing ethnic Russians by the thousands in eastern Ukraine. And that's why Vladimir Putin said he is going to denazify Ukraine. And ultimately said, that's it, you're out. Those areas voted to join the Russian Federation instead of being associated with Zelensky and Ukraine. And folks, it's a shit show. The whole thing is. 1 million Ukrainian men have died in this gambit, this game, this effort, right, to try and defeat Russia with a bunch of third world mutant military creeps. They just put their people into the military, send them to the front to have them killed. It's awful, folks. It's fucking awful. All right, and folks, winter. We're in the middle of winter now. It's January 12th. 8 days until Trump takes office. It's going to be bitter cold for months. What a shitty thing. What a shitty way to live. All right, man, enough of my stuff. Enough of my topics. What do you guys want to talk about out there? What's on your mind? What perspectives, thoughts, prognostications, and subjects are you interested in? And it is Cottage Farm. She's back. Another great Prepared Mind supporter for years and years and years. She says the real ID deadline is May of 2025. Digital dystopia incoming. Real ID is is being forced on America. If you want to fly in an airplane, you've got to have a real ID. You've got to have it. I don't like this. I don't like this 1984 Brave New World electronic drone artificial intelligence bullshit. And she cites it right here. Cottage Farm does. Palantir, facial recognition software. License plate readers. Border biometrics. And it looks like the techies will gonna prevail. Well, we're gonna find out. I don't like these techies and all their bullshit. We, you and I, Cottage Farm, and all of us, we have the right, we have the authority, we have the power to hurt these people financially by not shopping in their stores, not buying their products, ignoring their tech. Now, I use this tech to battle them. And that's what we've done, and they don't like it. They don't like that we took their social media and used it to combat their mainstream media and be successful. They thought they were going to lie to us and we would believe them. Instead, we question their authority. We question their thinking. We question their programs, and we tell everyone else, no way. And that's how we defeat them. Right? All of these companies owned by foreigners, run by foreigners in our country, yeah, they should be hiring Americans. First and foremost, Americans should have priority hiring. The same way companies go, we give military personnel priorities. Okay, great. When these people, right, they need to be exposed, and then they need to be sued for violating our if you discriminate, if they violate the discrimination laws, they need to be sued horrendously. We need to have people go in and apply for jobs if you're qualified, and when you don't get the job, sue them. Period. They want lawfare, we'll show them fucking lawfare. We can do this. We need to gang up. It's our country. Corporations were only supposed to exist, not by right, but by privilege. A corporation relies on the authority of the state for its existence. So the state can tell a corporation what to do. And a state should be saying, you are here to benefit the people of this state and this country, not to benefit your country you came from and to send money overseas. And I really believe this also applies to companies that manufacture and get supplies out of this country. I'm tired of Ford and Chevy, Dodge, and other American companies, not just car companies, but all corporations, using every means possible to fuck us in this country and to buy everything they can out of country and then ship it here and put two bolts and nuts together and go, it was assembled in America, and put an American flag on it. I'm tired of that shit. We should have raw materials made in this country, manufacturing, milling, customizing, name it, made in this country. American corporations like U.S. Steel should not be owned by foreign corporations. I'm a nationalist. I love my country. I think it should be protected. I love American people. They should have first dibs before we go out of country and hire people who have no idea what this country is about. They work for shit, right? And it's a sham. It really is a sham. Anyways, Cottage Farm, I get it. And we got one hell of a fight, do we not? One hell of a fight ahead of us. I'm 55. I've been fighting this motherfucking fight since I was a Marine. Fighting to expose corruption, to expose bad people, to expose bad rules. I got out of the Marines and I continued the fight as a civilian. That's why I went to law school, by the way, was to get into that fight. That side realized they're a bunch of losers and assholes. We need to fight, folks. There are good Republican attorneys. And I think the one guy, Davis, who works for Trump, he is getting ready to just attack these motherfuckers, and it needs to happen. We need to see and hear victories. Yes, we do. We need to see and hear victories. Cottage Farm, it was great hearing from you. And I'm glad. Uman told me some information. So as soon as that information is corroborated, right, we will bring you on every show anyways, regardless. You've been such a great supporter of the show behind the scenes. All right, Uman, who's up next? We're down. What? We're at an hour and 40 minutes into the show. We got Gray Rock on the screen, and he says the Kool-Aid doesn't work unless everybody drinks it. Whether we're talking about the Jim Jones juice, whether we're talking about any political question, from the military to our money, to the border, to foreign wars, to corporate behavior, to education and schools, right? I'm not drinking their fucking Kool-Aid. And as long as you don't drink their Kool-Aid or take their Jim Jones juice, and as long as you're not taking it, and folks, anything comes from the government, it doesn't matter, Democrat or Republican or fucking bureaucrat, I don't trust them. A supposed nonpartisan organization like the Congressional Budget Office, the CBO, do you think I believe a fucking thing they say? No chance, because they lie. The unemployment figures, financial figures that come out, they put them out, they're reported and make Joe Biden look like a fucking hero. And the next month or two, they do this behind the scenes, no one's watching, they revise the numbers. Instead of jobs created, it turns out to be jobs lost. News stories this weekend. Kohl's, who need to be boycotted anyway, shutting down stores. I believe Target shutting down stores. Macy's closing stores. Macy's closing stores. The economy is the best ever, huh, Joe Biden? Joe Biden is going on X, telling everyone how great the economy is. And he's leaving America with the greatest. Really? How would he fucking know? Does Joe Biden go grocery shopping? Does Joe Biden pump fuel into Air Force One before he flies to his next vacation? No, he doesn't. He doesn't. Anyways, I'm not drinking their fucking Kool-Aid, folks. Not doing it. Anyways, thank you, Gray Rock. Ooh, man, who's up next? We've been well over 700 people live, as high as 730. It is Courageous Cat back again. And she writes, I noticed that articles about sudden death victims, those are the people who take the Jim Jones juice, sudden death victims are withholding the cause of death now. Gee, I wonder why. That's right. We used to have a segment on the show called Take a Wild Guess. And there you go. Fizzers, Jim Jones juice. Right? Yeah. We used to have that segment because I detail people who died of heart attacks. Sudden heart attacks, unexpected heart attacks. And they quit telling us what people were dying from. So we can't say, the number one way to die after taking the Jim Jones juice. Notice that that drink was not called Pfizer's. It was Fizzers. Right. And Dr. Grouchy instead of Dr. Fauci. Good stuff there. Anyways, the point of all this is they stopped telling us why people are dying, because it makes it harder to guess. But when you say a professional athlete fell down and died instantly, suddenly, without warning, or they fell, collapsed, passed out, and had to be taken to a hospital, we know it. I can take a wild guess, because super athletes used to not die. Children used to not die. Teenagers used to not die. People used to live and survive having heart attacks in their 40s, in their 50s. They would survive having heart attacks in their 60s and their 70s. Hell, I just, believe it or not, I can't believe this. I got sucked down a rabbit hole today. Watched a video on Chuck Barris, who created shows like The Dating Game, The Newlywed Game, and The Gong Show. He was just this wacko, crazy-ass dude. He was, I think, in his 70s, had parts of his lungs removed because of, I think, cancer, and lived into his fucking 90s. But today, if you're an athlete in your 20s or 30s, you fall down, you fucking die. Well, just 2 decades ago, people survived all kinds of crazy shit. Now, even infants are just dying. Not to mention that it used to be 1 in 50,000 were autistic, 1 in 25,000, 1 in 5,000 were autistic. Now it's 1 in 50 children are autistic. And they don't want to talk about that. Oh, no, no. No, I really hope and pray and wish upon a shooting star that RFK is put in the position and he quits talking about it and actually has the authority to do something about all of the food dyes, food coloring, artificial ingredients, non-food additives that are put into food, preservatives, chemicals, and then goes after also all of this medical shit where they're just absolutely poisoning children. Anyways, thank you, Courageous Cat. I look forward to your comments and suggestions, thoughts, and of course, emails outlining all of the sudden death victims that we no longer hear exactly what they died from. And folks, I tell you what, a friend of mine a number of years ago, when this was first happening, all of a sudden I was like, where the hell is he? Where is he? Where's my friend? I don't see him anymore walking around where I was living. This is before I moved to where I'm at now in Florida. He was sitting on the fucking curb, ash white. Paramedics had to come and get him. He couldn't breathe. He was having chest pains. He couldn't fucking breathe. Oh, he was ash white? Yeah, sorry. He was actually black. But he looked ash white. The blood drained from him. Luckily, he survived. Whatever medical condition he survived. I caught him a few months later. He still couldn't walk up a flight of stairs without losing his breath. He couldn't even teach his job. Hell of a nice guy. Couldn't teach because he couldn't talk for any extended period of time without losing his breath. It was awful, folks. What a great guy, and his son, what a great kid. Used to high-five me, just super cool. Just totally destroyed by the Jim Jones juice. All right, I'm going to change the subject and get off of that one. I'm going to head back over the pond to Liverpool, England, where their Minister of Parliament, their Congressman, Dan Carden, became the first Labour, meaning the first Democrat in Congress or Parliament, if you will, to publicly state that he wants them to have an inquiry into the grooming gang problem. In other words, the rape of white minor women in England, the grooming gangs. Now, I don't want anyone to get excited. I think this is a step in the right direction. But as noted by politics in the past in America, if England and their parliament manage to get an inquiry, which is an investigation, it doesn't mean they will actually have real witnesses. And it doesn't mean that they're going to actually allow those witnesses to testify. And that if they do have any discussion and facts that come out that evidence that it's really a problem, that Parliament may not do a damn thing about it. But what they're going to try and do is hide the fact that they support and allow and promote this by allowing more illegals in. But the fight has to start somewhere. It has to start somewhere. So I see this as a positive step. Just like I see American politics, you and I are engaged in taking positive steps. Yeah, they're not saying all the right things sometimes. Yeah, they're not making all the right decisions every time. But I'll circle back to the beginning. My sports team, they're not making good decisions. Am I going to quit watching? Am I going to quit supporting my team? That's my team, right? Well, my team is freedom, team freedom. And if I'm on the field fighting the fight and I don't like the calls the quarterback is making, I'm going to fucking tell him, dude, Stop running to the right. We keep getting clobbered. That's not how you do it, right? Run right, run left, and just football terms, right? We can participate. They don't get to make all the calls. You and I call them on the phone, text them, send them messages, use X. I think the most effective way to bully these politicians, because they don't like getting messages from you and me every single day. They've stated so much. We don't like being bullied by you guys. You can't bully us. And then guess what they did? They acquiesced. They gave in because we were bullying them to do what is correct, moral, decent, and part of the fucking law. Doing their jobs. Don't quit. Don't give up. Don't allow yourself, folks. Don't allow yourself to be bullied by them. William Hallman sent a 556 super chat donation. Ooh, man. If you see William H., he is Howlingly Willie out there. 556 super chat donation. If he gets a question, we'll get him up there. Once again, his X, or rather Cash App is Howlingly Willie. All right, brother. Thank you for the great donation. I want to get your question right up here on the screen if Ooman sees you. Anyways, good stuff. Good stuff. For the time being, and if we can't get him this week, we'll get you tomorrow or the next day. Whenever you want to come on, man. You've donated to make this show great, to make it stronger, to support us. I want to take care of you and get your information right back out there. Ooman, what do you got? Who's up next? And then we're going to go back to another topic I think that's really, really important. And I touched on it earlier. In fact, let me do that right now, Ooman, while we're waiting. Joe Rogan. I lampooned the shit out of Mark Zuckerberg here, right? Joe Rogan basically bitch slapped him on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast. He had Mark Zuckerberg on there. And guess what? That's right. Mark Zuckerberg tried making outrageous cerveza bug censorship. He tried to justify it, tried to make it sound like it was a good thing. He's showing his Democrat colors while at the same time he talks out the other side of his neck about free speech. Let me read to you what Zuck. Thank you, Uman. We'll have William up next. The Zuck stated this, quote, speaking of the Democrats and Biden, their goal, and also social media and Democrats everywhere, their goal was to get everyone vaccinated was actually a good goal. Joe wasn't having anything of that. Joe Rogan said, yeah, it was a good goal if it worked, if it really did prevent people from getting cerveza bug, from infecting others, but it didn't. So it wasn't a good deal. Well, Cuckberg tried defending the Jim Jones juice and the mandates as good anyways. Rogan, folks, had none of it, pointing out it was improperly done. It was done for profit. It was about money and power and control. Fuck the Zuck, that little cuck. That's my motto when it comes to that guy. I'm glad Joe Rogan didn't put up with his shit, wasn't Joe Rogan, he wasn't allowing the cuck, Zuck, to bully him at all. And I'll tell you what, before we get to William, Mr. Uman, Darcy T has done another $50 super chat donation. She says, someone needs a swig. I could definitely use that. Feeling a little dry. Hang on to that thought there. Thank you very much, Darcy T. You've been a great sponsor, provider of information. Folks, every last one of you, we've got 700, almost 750 people live here between all of our channels and networks. Fuck yeah. Anyways, we all fight back, fight with each other, fight. 1 second. Woo! Oh, fuck, that's so smooth. Join each other and fight against the enemies. Don't fight with each other. Join with one another. Find our common ground and go after these left-wing bastards. If we don't do it with free speech, we're going to do it with the Second Amendment, folks. It's a fact. It's historically accurate prediction of future events. If we don't stop them with the pen, we have to stop them with our power. I'm not calling for violence. I'm letting people know that is the way it works. Because people in power, if they don't obey us, they abuse us. So make them obey before they abuse. Ooh, man, let's do it. Who's up next? It is William Holman. Woo, woo. He says, John, my U.S. Air Force Vietnam vet father developed heart problems after taking it. And it is the Jim Jones juice. It is just fucking awful. And I'm really sorry, William, that your father, who sounds like just a hell of a good man, a Vietnam vet. Folks, every time I see a Vietnam vet, I make it a point to go get their attention. Because a lot of them here in Florida wear their hats. Has their ribbon on the hat. Says Vietnam veteran, whether they're Army or Air Force or Marine Corps. I don't care. I go up and I tell them, I say, hey, look, man, Semper Fi, brother. If they can, I'll shake their hand. They're getting very old. Very old. They're in their 70s now. Some of them late 60s, but mostly they're in their 70s. And nothing but respect for veterans of foreign wars. That's the VFW guys, right? This fucking tears me up, man. You do what they say, you try and trust government, and this is what happens. William, take good care of your father. Tell him I said hi, and as a Marine, I respect all who served. All. Except for communists. I don't fucking honor communists. But beyond that, certainly back then, and Mikey G, a great sponsor and supporter of the show. Mikey G, thank you, sir. He says, blind obedience is what they want. Take this gene therapy. That's experimental and unapproved, safe and effective. Yeah, right. I probably just got myself in trouble for reading your thing there, Mikey. I've got to be more careful about that. Yeah, they said it was safe and effective. Yeah, you believe them? Then why is Dr. Fauci lying to Congress so much? Why do they have to threaten us and coerce us? Oh, by the way, the Nuremberg Code says nobody, no government, no institution, no corporation or individual may coerce, threaten, demand anybody to do anything that is experimental. And that's precisely what that shit is. Experimental. I feel bad for anyone that's taken it, and detox yourself. Get detox. I know people that have taken it, folks. People in my family that took it. Get fucking detoxed. Luckily, my son Lucas, oh no, fuck. That kid. I love that young man. Talked to him for about an hour this morning. Folks, I know that you, all of us, have good hearts and love America and freedom. Join together and fight with each other against evil. Do not let these PSYOP, government, military scumbags, and there are military scumbags in the military, folks, who are anti-American, anti-constitutional, pro-Marxist, and they are working to destroy our country. Not your run-of-the-mill, everyday veterans and active duty. No, not them. These are people who are orchestrating and working in the psychological operations divisions to fuck us over. Plus, they have bots, and they lie, and they cheat, and they steal. That's what we're battling against. Those same lying bot bastards are convincing others to hate America. Our job is to convince politicians they better do the right thing or it's their asses, meaning we'll vote them out of office. Let's do one more from you guys in the crowd. Let's do one more, and then we'll call it an end. And it's Dar with a, what was that? Shoot, I don't know what that was. Okay. And there we are. Okay. That would be my mother sending me a text message. Anyways, 2025. EIE. God bless us all. Semper Fi. Here's to you, Johnny. Thank you, Dar, for that. Is that extinction level event, ELE? Because I don't know what EIE is other than EIEIO. Anyways, if extinction level events are very possible in 2025, of course, the Biden administration has been planning for a mass casualty event. And a lot of people believe that we've had extinction level events, not just in times past, not just back 10,500 BC. I don't do BCE. I don't do Common Era, CE. I do BC and AD. I'm tired of this secular horse shit, right? The clocks got set at BC for a reason. In any event, before I get off on that fucking tangent, I do believe that we have had extinction level events back around the year 1700. I think we've had extinction level events about 450 AD. Interesting stuff. I think that they've lied to us about our timelines. I think they've lied to us about our history. I think they've lied to us about religion. I think they've lied to us about a great many things. And I think they continue to lie to us. And I think there are secret organizations out there that are withholding information. And they're going to continue to do that. And I'm going to continue to dig and find it and turn it up as best I can. Folks, chance favors the prepared mind. Get prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. Understand only you can protect you. And only when we join together can we fight off the evil that's after us. But ultimately, if things go Mad Max, it's you and the 10-mile radius around you. Only you are going to be able to protect you if it gets that nasty. Semper Fi to one and all, and God bless America.